Trevor Dahl of Cheat Codes. Man, what's up, man?
Yo, yo, how's everything going?
It's going great, man. So you're hanging out in Portland right now, huh?
Yes, I am. I'm back in my hometown of Portland, well, I guess Beaverton to be specific, where I grew up in my parents' house, the same house I grew up in. So yeah, just hanging out for a little
Nice.
while, for Thanksgiving, and then gonna go home the day after Thanksgiving. So
Yeah, I was
good.
gonna ask, is that a Thanksgiving trip, kind of an extended holiday trip?
Yeah, it's kind of a long one. I had some friends in town a couple days ago, so we went to the beach and all hung out. And they're from Oklahoma, so I haven't seen them in a while. So it was nice. And I'm just hanging out until we eat that nice Thanksgiving meal, and then I'll go home.
Yeah, I love Portland. That's cool. And yeah, I was wondering if it was one of those extended 2020 parental visits that I feel like I've heard a lot of people are doing. A lot of people
Oh
just went
yeah.
home and stayed home like the whole year. But
I did that in the beginning of the quarantine. I was like, I had to get out of LA in the beginning. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if everyone's gonna lose their minds and
right, yeah,
start breaking into houses and stuff. So I was like, I'm just
yeah,
gonna dip out for a little bit,
yeah.
and see, just to make sure. And it was fine. But so I left for like 5 weeks or 6 weeks, something like that, and then came back to LA, and then now I'm back. And I love Portland, so love
Yeah,
visiting.
I did too. So you got a new single out, but let's wait to talk about that
Cool.
because staying true to bringing it backwards, we're gonna take it all the way back and hear your whole story. So why
Let's
don't
do it.
why don't you just let us know how you got into music in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, where should I start? I mean, I guess it's nice that I'm back at home talking about this, because this is where I recorded my very first songs, wrote my first songs, and learned how to play guitar and
Yeah,
did all that stuff when I was like 12. So that's kind of when I started. I mean, I've always been surrounded by music since I was little. My cousins have all grew up. I grew up surrounded by them playing drums and guitar and bass and writing songs and just being very creative and musical. And I'd go over to their house, and they had like this jam room, which I thought was so cool when I was a little kid. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my
yeah,
god, they would just let me just go play with all the instruments and mess around. So me and my brother loved doing that, and my dad also like wrote songs and played guitar my whole life. So like when he was younger, when he was in his 20s, he would write a bunch of songs, and he would like play those songs to us as we grew up. And so that was always like around. It was always around when I was little, and it was always
yeah,
like inspiring to me and interesting to me. And I always loved that, and loved always asked him to play the songs for us and my friends and all that stuff. So that was awesome. And yeah, I guess one day when I was like 12, my dad started teaching my brother how to play the guitar. And I,
mm,
like any younger brother, I was like, oh, well, then I got to learn too. You know what I mean? I was
yeah,
like,
for
you can't
sure.
get good at something without me. I got to get better at it than you. So, yeah, I started learning. I just kind of watched them, like, kind of just sat there and watched him teach him. I was like, oh, I think I can figure it out. Picked it up and kind of plucked it out myself. I think it was like Seven Nation Army by White
Nice.
Stripes or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something super simple,
Dong,
but
dong, 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 dong,
yeah,
dong,
exactly.
dong. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I can do anything now. Now I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah, White
um,
Stripes is a good place to start.
yeah, exactly. So that's exactly where I started. Once I get some water.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's sort of where I guess it all began. I guess and so after that, like we just started like asking for instruments and microphones and interfaces and everything we could to like start like practicing and like getting a band together, like whatever in the garage. So
Yeah.
um, me, my brother, and my couple of our friends would bring everything and put it in our garage and just make songs and learn Blink-182 covers and
Yeah.
whatever else. That's kind of what we started on, was like that pop punk stuff.
Totally. Yeah,
Um,
that's how old were you about at that point about?
I mean, I guess I was 12 when I picked it up. My first instrument actually was when I was really little, like really, really little. My dad or my parents got me like a really little drum set, and I kind of just broke it and never played it. And after that, they got me like a mini acoustic, and I'm pretty sure I did the same thing. But when I was like 12, when I was actually learning, my first instrument was a bass.
Mm.
And so I started learning how to play like Carousel by Blink-182 and like whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like 12 at the time,
Yeah.
12 or 13, and was just like super into that. And like within like a couple months, was like, oh, I want to play guitar fully. I don't want to just play bass. Like this is
Mm.
not that fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
started doing that and started playing drums, and we just got did our whole thing and just whatever. But I didn't have that many friends that played like instruments, and my brother did, and he's older than me. And so I'd always had to like convince them to let me play with them. Like they'd always get together and I'd be like, let me jam too. Like, let me go on,
Yeah.
And they'd be like, no, get out of here. No, no way, But once in a while they let me play. But so when they wouldn't let me play, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go I'm going to go write songs then. I'm going to like learn how to make songs without them, and learn how to record them, which I just got really into when I was really young. I got downloaded like FL Studio and a couple other like software, like just beat make like ways to make beats and like ways to record my vocals and just really like record my guitar and vocals with like no effects, but like at least I could like figure out the basics, like okay, record the tempo, like all right, this is the key. I'm getting kind of figuring it out. So I would just write a lot of like songs and like write poems and write just all sorts of ideas just on my computer. And I would save it under this one the one document. I just had like one document on my computer and it was just like 100 songs like in a row, just like
awesome.
all right, I'm writing next page, write a new one, next page, write a new one, just get really good at it, so that's kind of how I started doing it. And I'm just rambling, sorry.
No, I love it, man. It's funny, it's I wonder, part of it's awesome that you were like, all right, fine, you're not going to let me jam with you today, then I'm going to go off and I'm going to be self-sufficient and I'm going to do my own thing and I'm going to make something. Was any part of that motivation to be like, hey, I'm going to go create something cool and then I'm going to show them, and then that maybe they'll let me jam with them more because they'll see what I'm capable of?
I think that was kind of the initial thing, but then I ended up being like very shy about showing people my music. But I think there was like this initial, like, I think a big part of it was like, well, if you're not going to let me play, then I'm going to get like really good at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'm going to I'll show you kind of thing.
Yeah. Like I'm going to get really good at this. And eventually you're going to be like, damn, like I should have let him play with me, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever.
Right.
And that was a big motivation for me. Like I was gonna say was like, I was like a little, I was like 12, 13, 14. And I started writing songs for like girls that I liked, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, like, this is a way to get, get the girls and whatever. So I'd write all sorts of, love songs, whatever else. And I would like write and record them and, send them over. What do you think? Blah, 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 so that's just,
nice.
Funny. And, it's just like, classic little kid trying to impress people.
I also love how your cousin had a jam room. Because I think growing up, different cousins had different things that were cool at their house, but that's like, and growing up, I think as I got older, maybe in high school, like, me and my cousins started getting guitars and all that. So we'd be jamming, but a jam room, like where, at a family party where you could go in and maybe there are drums and you could actually just rock out. I mean, that's awesome, rather than really play cool video games or whatever, play basketball in the backyard or something. That sounds like a fun time at a family party.
Yeah, exactly. It was really cool. And it's super nice that they like let us just do whatever. They're like, yeah, do whatever you want, play anything, play as loud as you want, break stuff, whatever you want to do. So, and they would come in and like teach us the basics. Like, how do I do a basic drum beat? Like, how do I just play the bass? And they'd sit us down and figure, help us out. So, doing that is really cool. And just like all my cousins, not just those cousins, my other uncles' kids, like they were in bands and, like all different all different styles of bands too. So it was really cool just like growing up around people that loved like making different styles of music, like metal and like really pretty acoustic music and like pop punk or just like all sorts of stuff. So it was cool.
Yeah. What kind of music was your dad writing?
My dad wrote the stuff that he wrote and writes is beautiful. It's very like really, really singer-songwriter, like Tom Petty, like really cool stuff that like I would love to record and release sometime. Like, and he was like totally down with that idea, but it's like really, really good. And I think people would like dig it a lot. So
yeah, maybe a Dahl collab at some point, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. We got the same last name, so it all works out.
Yeah, the Dahls. There you go.
Yeah.
We call them the Portland Dolls instead. So you start, so kind of by necessity, you start recording your own stuff, and pretty early, it sounds like. So you probably got decent production game early on. So where'd you go from, recording songs for some girls and for yourself to, what happened after that? How'd things progress after that?
So that was like that I started doing that, like just writing, recording like basic ideas and like getting like the general like songs up on like Pure Volume in MySpace when I was like 6th and 7th grade. So I was like 12, 13. And then 14, I got to play like my first show. I played like my brother's high school, his battle of the bands. He let me play in his band because they needed a bassist. So
Nice.
I was like 14 playing like, with all the high schoolers. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm, really getting to play shows and like whatever.
Yeah.
So I did that and started like, and then in high school, freshman year, I joined like this hardcore band, like this sort of like emo hardcore band. And which is so funny, but before that I played in a bunch of bands like in middle school with like with friends, but like it was just like us in my garage. Like we never played shows. Like we like wanted to, but like we never did, you know what I mean? So I played in all sorts of different styles of bands, but like my high school band was like the first band we started playing shows. And so that was a hardcore band, and we would like just book our own shows and sell tickets and get other bands together and go downtown and play some shows for like 100 kids maybe if we really hustled. And so that was funny. And but like as I started doing that, I would always still just make my own music acoustically in my room, or like make little beats and like sing over it and like whatever. And I had started this project called Plug in Stereo at the same time when I was like 15 or 16. And it's an acoustic singer-songwriter style thing that I did for a while, for like 5 or 6 years. And so yeah, I started doing that, and the band that I was in got really mad about it. They were like, they felt like I was like taken away from the time that I don't know.
Right.
But they ended up kicking me out of the band, which was just devastating for a high schooler. You're just like your friends, like you're like, oh man, like what? Like you're kicking me out, like all my friends, like you don't want me in the band anymore, like terrible. So
it is funny that you're in high school though, and you already have like side projects. You're already like multiple things going on in the music world. But yeah, that's funny.
That's so funny. Yeah. So, I mean, I had been taking it kind of more seriously, honestly, but I loved playing in the band just because it was my friends, and it was a good time. But the other thing was just a solo project. So I'd always just like, I would like go to the band practice and then come home and like record songs, release them, and like try to get people to like listen to them. I would like add people on MySpace and talk to them and like whatever. So I did that for hours and hours and hours, to the point where like it became a real problem for my school, for my high school, because I like would stay up really late, like in like record music or like promote my music, and like I would sleep in and skip classes, and I would leave early, and just like I wasn't getting anything done. And by the time I was 16, I dropped out of high school. I was like, all right, I'm doing this music thing like 100%. Like I'm gonna go for it, and if I fail, then I'll just get my GED, like whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just like, I hated the idea of going to college. I hated the idea of like spending money and spending time on things that I didn't want to do. I was like, for me, but when I like got into writing, I was like, this is what I'm going to do for sure. Like I'm going to do music.
Did you have any encouraging moments like before you made that decision, or was it just kind of like, I don't need any encouragement, I just know that I'm going to do this no matter what? Or did something, or were there any things that happened where you're like, okay, I could do this, I'm doing it?
I don't know. I mean, definitely there was little things for sure, but I think, I mean, to be honest, like I really believed in myself more than I should have, to be honest. Like it was just like, I really was like, even if I'm not very good, like I can hustle this, I can make this, like I can really work and get better and get better and get better, like, and maybe it'll be good enough like later. You know what I mean? Like my voice started, like, not to say I'm an amazing singer now, but like it started off very, very rough, and I had to practice like a lot. Like I didn't have a falsetto ever for like first 5 years of singing. I couldn't figure it out. Like I had to practice and practice and practice and practice, and like now I can do it like it's nothing. You know what I mean? But like it was just like this thing that I really had to like work at to feel confident with, at least.
Right. So you go all in. How did mom and dad feel about that?
They were actually really supportive, which is awesome. And my dad's a teacher, and at the time he was like a vice principal, and like in the same school district for the school that I was in. Which is kind of a funny look, but they were very like 100% supportive, never like questioned it at all. Because not because they're just like, they saw me working at it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they saw me spending like, it's not like I was like just slacking and not going to school. It was like I
Right.
wasn't going to school because I was like really wanting to do this, you know, like was spending all my time on like MySpace and like recording songs, and like I was like, I have to make this happen. I want to spend my time doing that instead of these things I don't care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
they ended up
maybe the
doing it.
fact that he was kind of on the inside, he knew there's other ways, you know, like you said, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'll get my GED, you know, and it's, you know,
Right.
high school equivalency, you know, it's not, you know, there's still other ways to do
Exactly.
it if things don't work out.
Yeah, and in Oregon, you can get your high school diploma until you're like 21, and GED like whenever, but like high school diploma until you're 21. And at the time I was 16, I was like, all right, let me at least give it a shot for a few years, and like if it doesn't work, I'll just finish. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So they were like, all right, you know, okay. And I started like booking my own shows and booking my own tours, and not like long tours, but like 4 or 5 dates, like in Washington and Oregon and like whatever, like and I would send out like hundreds of emails, like literally hundreds and hundreds of emails, trying to get a manager or a booking agent or anybody to give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like when I was like 16 or something like that, 16 or 17, it must have been 16. Yeah. I found a manager named David Conway, and he was managing this guy named Never Shot Never at the time, who's a like big MySpace artist. And for me, I was like a huge fan of him. Actually, I was like, oh, I love this guy, like a really, really big fan.
Yeah.
And so the fact that like I sent out so many emails and nobody responded, but like finally
But then
Conway
you got
responded.
someone that you really would want to work with. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that was like a really crazy thing, because I sent emails to everybody, you know what I mean, and then got hit back by somebody that I was like really excited about.
So
So
at this point, were these like MySpace DMs? Is that how you're trying to contact a lot of people, or were you
I
doing
was
emailing
getting their
too?
emails from MySpace. So like on MySpace, where I was Googling things, I was Googling different talent agencies, I was Googling different management companies. I was looking at different people's profiles and saying, all right, who's your manager? Blah, blah, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I would just
Smart.
email, just cold emails like, hey,
Yeah.
my name's Trevor. I go by this. This is the music I make.
Yeah.
You know, do you want to work with me?
And what kind of music was it at that point? Was that more the
It's
acoustic stuff
acoustic
that?
pop.
Okay.
The very
Cool.
acoustic pop with like, I had like a very, like I said in the beginning, I was really uncomfortable with my voice, but I used like the auto tune effect like big time. Like it was like
Yeah.
T-Pain style.
Ah.
So it
Okay.
was like T-Pain style vocals with like acoustic guitar in the beginning, while I got
Nice.
comfortable with my voice, because it
Yeah.
was like dog shit in the beginning. I was like, all right, at least I can kind of like work this and make it sound decent for like the
Right.
style I'm going for. And then I got more and more confident, and you know, took the retune speed off, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of how it started. It started off very like electronic pop acoustic, and then
Mm.
kind of phased into much more like organic acoustic, like, and ended up adding like band, like drums and bass, and like very like singer-songwriter pop. That's kind of where it went.
Cool.
And then so yeah, so about when I was 17, I got signed to an indie label. um I recorded an album for like $1,000. I saved up $1,000, went to Springfield, Missouri, recorded 10 songs. I'm just summarizing really fast because it's taking too long. Recorded 10 songs that I saved up like $1,000 for. He like gave me really good, like $1,000 for an album is like the cheapest deal in the entire world. But so shout out Kevin Gates, homie right there. And he recorded the album. There's a song called "Oh Darling" that had this girl named Katie Groves on it, and she had just signed to RCA, which was like really exciting for me, because I was like, oh my god, this is cool. Like a major label artist is singing on my song with me. You know what I mean? It was like a duet.
Right.
So it was like her and I, and we put it out through like this my independent label, and like, you know, whatever. Not my independent label, the label I was signed to, called Triple Crown Records. And it got some like traction. It got like a bunch of Sirius started playing it, and got like the top 40
Nice.
and some
Wow.
stations, and like
Yeah.
I got to play some of those like cool radio shows for like, you know, Nashville and a couple other places. And so that was
Yeah.
like a really big step for me. That was like a really encouraging, when you asked me about encouraging things, like that was the first like, oh, this is really cool. Like I'm like,
This is happening. I'm doing it.
yeah. So I was like 17, and I got to play shows with like a couple radio shows with like Demi Lovato and Kobe Calais and blah blah blah, all these things when I was like really young. And
Yeah.
so that was like a really cool moment to be able to do that. And I toured and did a bunch of tours. My parents got me like a Suburban And I toured around the country. Like I did like 13 tours by the time from ages 16 to 21, just like around the US in like a van and like a Suburban, just sleeping in like, I slept in the van all the time. We slept in the van. We would sleep in Walmart parking lots and stuff, and or hotels, you know, if we could save up enough money,
Right,
whatever.
right. Take a
Um,
shower.
yeah, exactly.
Get a
Do the whole
shower
thing.
in.
So like we really roughed it out for years, like on the road in the van, like sleeping on the floor, like asking fans if we could sleep at their house, like all sorts of crazy stuff. Did that for a long time. And then
That's awesome. I feel like that must have been so gratifying though, especially as a 17-year-old who dropped out of high school, to be like telling your friends or telling your parents, "Hey, I'm opening for Demi Lovato," you know, like I'm
right.
doing this. It's happening.
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was like surreal. It was like, I don't know. I was super hyped, and you know, it was weird because obviously it was like we were roughing it out, like playing a lot of like, we played some shows in front of like nobody. You know what I
Sure,
mean? Like
sure.
and like doing, you know, crazy tours with a bunch of different bands, and but then we got to do some really cool things like that too. So it was like a really, you know, being that young, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I could do this I could do this forever. Like
Yeah,
whatever. I don't
yeah,
even if I don't make crazy money, like this is awesome. So
yeah.
the time it was just it was whatever, everything I wanted to do. So it was
So
cool.
how'd you go from so you're doing this acoustic pop, and then at some point you move in with Matt of Cheat Codes, right? What happened between
Yes.
how did that transition happen?
Right. So I was I did get upstream to Atlantic Records with that project that I was doing, and eventually after like
Nice.
5 years or something like that, I left the label. I was 21 and I completely stopped the project. I was like, all right, I'm done with the label. I'm kind of tired of this project. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm kind of just tired of the style I'm doing. Because I did just like, I felt like I was just like, all right, I'm kind of over the songwriter stuff as of right now. I want to be able to move around on stage, and I want to go like change it up and to do different
Yeah.
styles of tours and play with different styles of bands and just see what happens. Really, you know, go for it. And a lot of people at the time were like, a lot of like MySpace people would like be hesitant on like just cutting it off like completely and
Yeah,
starting
you're
something
with
new.
Atlantic doing something that's working, and yeah, and so
Yeah.
that takes some guts to be like, I want to do something new just because I want to.
Yeah. So I just completely cut it off. I was like, everybody, this is my last album. I'm not doing it again. I'm not like kind of doing this and doing something else. I'm just cutting it. It's done.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna do something else. So hope you follow me still later. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And so and then I was like, I'm gonna start making. I wrote a bunch of songs, and then ended up feeling like, all right, I'm gonna make something the exact opposite of what I was doing. I'm gonna make electronic music. I'm gonna like, because I had always been I just to sum it up, I throughout all those years I'd always been like producing other people's bands when I'd be at home. So I learned all different styles of like production, like indie bands, like pop bands, like singer-songwriter stuff, hardcore stuff. Like I got used to like being able to like produce and make all different styles of music, not just for myself but for other people.
Yeah.
So I got used to like production and really getting into that. So by the time I was done with my project, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do something completely new, something I haven't even really dived in with, I haven't really messed with production wise. At the time I'd never done any dance music, but I was like, it's like the one genre I haven't really messed with at all, and I would love to mess with it, you know. And so I started diving in and just like really learning how to make that style of production by myself, and I would just make songs in my parents' garage or whatever. And um, but just to preface Matt, I met Matt on a tour that I did when I was 16 in St. Louis. When he was 18, his band opened the show, or his band was the local band at that show, and I had
Mm.
met him. And a couple years later, I'm in LA, living in LA, and he's living in LA, and we end up meeting a mutual friend. His friend brings me back to their apartment, and Matt's like, "Hey, you're Trevor. Like we met in St. Louis," and I was
Oh
like,
wow.
"Oh, that's crazy." I was like, "Yeah, we did. Like that's so weird." And we became friends, and whenever I needed a place to live in LA for like 6 months, whatever, I would just stay wherever Matt was living. He would like have
Mm.
an extra room, and I'd be like, yo, can I stay at the extra room? Like I'll pay you whatever, you know. So we did that, and I lived with him like 3 or 4 different times while I did my project, he did his project, you know, throughout over a few different years. And then when I stopped my project, I was like, hey, I'm gonna come back down to LA. I'm making like dance music. Do you have a room? And he's like, yeah, I got a
Hmm.
spot. Like, come share a room with me and my friend Gino, where there's a big room. come share a spot with us. I was like, all right, cool. Sharing a room, whatever. Not the best thing, but we'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, moved down there, lived with Matt, and he was like, yo, I'm starting this alternative dance project with my friend Kevy called Cheat Codes. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, that's dope. I was like, we should get together and make a couple songs. I'm making dance music too. And he's like, all right, cool. So we all got together and we made a song called Visions off of our very first day together.
Nice.
Did the whole song, like wrote the whole thing, got it all done. And that ended up being the first song we put out as Cheat Codes. So it was just one of those things that happened really organically. Like before I even moved to LA again, Matt called me one day. He's like, you got to meet my friend Kevy. Like, you have to meet him. He's going to be my best friend. I just met this guy. He's going to be my best friend. I was like, okay. That's like, I was like, all right, sweet. You know? So
yeah. And first of all, I love the origin story of Cheat Codes, where I think it was Kevy's brother said that he had found the cheat code to getting anything he wanted in life. Was that
exactly.
in reference to him making music and or was it just, is that what that is in reference to? Or
yeah, well, kind of, yeah. So Kevy's older brother, both of his brothers were in a band called Clear Static, and they won like a Teen Choice Award, and they like went on tour with Duran and like
wow,
did all sorts of stuff. They were in a bus, you know, they played Madison Square Garden, all this crazy stuff. So I think Kevy was like 12 or something. 12 was a big year for both of us, or maybe all three of us, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But he went on tour with his brother like for a few days or whatever. I think they were like at Madison Square Garden or something like that. And Kevy was like, yo, like, how are you doing this? Like, you're 16. His brother was 16. He's like, how are you doing this? And he's like, I got the cheat code, little bro. Like,
that's funny.
You know, and that was like sort of the story that he told Matt. And Matt was like, oh, we got to be called Cheat Codes. Like, that name's so good. It's perfect. Like,
yeah.
And that was like, that's sort of like the reason we all clicked so well, is because we're all very different, and we all come from very different backgrounds. Like, I'm from Oregon, Northwest, like Matt's Midwest, and LA. I mean, Kevy's super LA, like, you know what I mean? So like, we're very different, but our mindsets were very similar in the sense of like, just like us, the way we like believe in the law of attraction, and the way we think we can get things done, and the way we can like really like put things out there and think that we can achieve it, even if some people are like, dude, you're crazy. Like, what do you mean you think you can do that? You know? So
yeah.
So that's kind of where we really clicked, that sort of energy. We just really would like throw out goals for ourselves, like very early on, like crazy goals, like, oh, we're gonna get, you know, we want to play this show, we want to play, you know, in front of this many people, we want to play with these DJs, we want to have a song with this kind of person, we want to have a song that does this well, we want to like, you know, get paid this much per show, like whatever it is, you know, like we were like really throwing everything out there, like specifically, and like working every day to really achieve those things, like putting in every hour, like continuing that work ethic of like staying up till 3 a.m., like getting better at production, writing songs every day, like nonstop, that like just keep grinding. Like we were eating top ramen every day, eating like bullshit,
sharing
like,
rooms.
Literally, yeah, it was three of us in one room, and we would share speaker time. So it was like, all right, these days you get speakers, I'll use headphones. These days I get the speakers, you get headphones. Like,
wow.
And we would like schedule it out, like literally schedule it like the weeks before, like, all right, I need Thursday and Wednesday. Like you we're just like, I don't know. So really,
yeah, it's funny you talk about the law of attraction. Literally just an hour or so ago, I was just, you know, surfing Instagram and TikTok or whatever, and someone was talking about you know, they declassify these CIA documents every now and then, and I guess the CIA actually studied manifestation and like did all these studies on it, and we're studying it as something that the government could use, which was crazy. And as you know, it's talking about law of attraction stuff, you know, picture it and all these different things. So
you gotta show me that.
Yeah, I'll send you the I'll send you the clip.
Awesome.
I got to Google it myself just because I'm interested to read it. But yeah, very, very trippy.
Yeah,
so and now we're talking about it. So I must have manifested it into this interview.
Yeah, exactly.
So well, it all pays off, man, because and you know, some things come easier than others, and I think some people just think, well, maybe they got lucky, or maybe they have a secret cheat code. But I mean, it sounds like you guys were really hustling and just doing it because you loved it and were ready to do what you needed to. And that song Visions that you said you recorded kind of blew up on Hype Machine,
Right.
which which was a huge kind of metric at the time. And then you guys released a few more singles, and then started racking up like millions of streams. How did was what do you think it was your savviness to your kind of online savviness, one, getting it on Hype Machine and getting that traction on Hype Machine, or were there other factors that started that crazy growth that you guys saw early on?
Totally. I mean, there's so many factors into it. It's like it's hard to pinpoint exactly what the things are. I think
Hmm.
that like I think that having that the mentality of like really like building momentum and like really putting in hours continuously and like not letting it slip up and like really being like, all right, go, 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 go. And more songs, like make better music, like send it to everybody, push it as hard as you can, like do like every little thing you possibly can do at that moment, respond to everybody, like I don't know, like reach out to different people at Spotify and Apple and whatever we did. We were doing that like really early on, like before that became like a and now it's like a very common thing where everyone's like, oh, we got to like hit up the playlisters, like
Right,
but we
right.
were doing that like 2014, like really
Mm,
like figuring out who are these people that are running these playlists, who's how do you run Hype Machine, like how do you get like more streams on like whatever, like really figure out how to push it. And we did as much as we possibly could by ourselves and got lucky with getting some people like really believe in us early on and you know I don't know, show love on the songs before they really should have. I don't know.
yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
sounds to me like you guys, a lot of, and I don't know the dynamic exactly, but it sounds like all of you were contributing in a meaningful way, and all of you kind of were doing things individually. So when you guys came together, you were kind of like it was like all that energy combined. Whereas, I think some groups, they have, maybe like a front person or something like that, and they're kind of the driving force behind it, and then kind of the supporting cast. It sounds like you guys all were contributing in a big way.
Totally. Yeah. It still is obviously really exciting when we get together and work together, but like in the beginning it was like this very like, oh wow, like this is crazy, like we could really do this, like let's really let's really really hustle and like you do this, I'll do this, you do that, like let's really kind of come together and figure out ways to kind of make this happen. So yeah, it was
and
really
so, and
organic and like super like just yeah, organic's the best way I can put it, and just like really cool that it happened that way.
Right. And so off all of this momentum, you guys start doing some really rad tours, and you opened for the Chainsmokers at one point in around 2015, right?
Yeah, that was our very first tour. So we had a couple offers before that that we didn't like love, and we were like, let's wait until we have something that we really feel like, oh wow, this is your first tour, like that's exciting. We wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that everything we did was exciting, and
Was that the year that the Chainsmokers like really blew up, that they had that song
it was like
Closer come out?
right as they started blowing up, like right
Wow.
as they started blowing up, like they just released Roses as like we got confirmed for the tour. So it was like really serendipitous, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just very like we got lucky with that. Like that was really cool, and we got to
Did
play
you
some really
really
key markets like LA and stuff like that.
did you see huge like changes after that? Like did it sounds like you guys were already going like that. Did it go like, like straight up?
Um, I don't know. Maybe yeah. It was one of those things where like, it was definitely momentum shift. It was definitely like a. It helped legitimize things. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
From going just from being like another person that's releasing songs in the bedroom to like, oh, you're getting to play like some really cool shows. Like that's dope. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to play like the Shrine in LA as one of our first shows, which is like what, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
Which is
awesome.
crazy, like 5,000
Yeah.
people, like it was incredible. So like that was really cool, and yeah, we got a booking agent that really believed in us early, which was all you can ask for, so that's cool.
Yeah. And what's funny is, so hearing that you knew Demi Lovato back, in your teens, and then you guys go on to make No Promises with Demi, and huge song. So did you call up an old friend or be like, hey, remember me, or what happened there?
No, that's super random. And it's crazy because actually the program director from the radio show that put on that show when I was 16 just sent me the audio of us playing our last song at that show. Like, he had it from the soundboard, and he emailed it to me. And at the end, I'm like, thank you so much. We're plugging stereo, and next up is Demi Lovato. And that's just like, I was like, whoa, it gave me chills. I was like, that's crazy. Cause like,
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that specific moment, of course, that like they were right after us and blah, blah. I mean, like, passed in the hallway and like whatever. Anyways, crazy. Yeah, that was just, it was crazy because when we finished No Promises, we had the song all finished up without Demi's vocal. And we were like, who would be the best vocal on this song? Like, if we could just have anybody in the world. It was like another manifestation sort of thing. It was like,
yeah,
if we could just pick one person, who's number one? And it was Demi. We're like, if one person would smash it, Demi Lovato is the person. And obviously that's like really aiming high,
Yeah. I love how you guys do that though. You just think of the ideal, shoot for the stars, and maybe you'll still hit the, the clouds at some point.
Exactly.
But you guys actually did it.
Exactly. I think that's sort of like the mentality of behind cheat codes, is like we really skip all the stuff that people think that you have to go through first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like just like a video game. It's like you skip all the boring stuff. You go
got the
right
game
to the
genie.
boss. Yeah. I'm going right to the end. I'm going to like the ending where I have the I beat the boss and unlimited whatever, and like you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Sort of like what we wanted to like do is to like really go for it and like not feel like, because I'd grinded it out for so long, for like years and years and years, and it turned into this like thing where it's like I want to go straight to the top. I want to go right for it and like really go for it 100%, and like hopefully just do exactly what we want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we said we want Demi Lovato. That's like the person we really, really, really want. Like, we hope we can get it to her. Hopefully she can listen to it. Maybe she'll like it, And we had just signed with 300 Entertainment, the label that we're with right now. And Roger, who was one of the guys there, he like knows her team and sent it over. And she heard the song and she said yes. And we were like, no way. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
So I went into the studio with her and recorded her vocals with her and did that whole thing. And that was,
at that point, were you like, hey, you remember me?
No, I didn't say anything.
you're like, I'm just gonna shut up. I'm gonna wait till she records this, make sure we get it, and then maybe I mess it up later.
I was like, well, this is insane for me. I was like, I grew up, watching Disney Channel, like knowing who he is and listening to her music and whatever, seeing her in Camp Rock when I was really young or whatever. So it's just like, this is wild, she's like a real like superstar, so
sure.
It was really really exciting for me, so that was really cool. And she's like the sweetest person ever, and like super humble, down to earth, really easy to work with. And so it was a dream come true.
Cool, man. And so I want to make sure to talk about your new stuff. So we'll coast a little bit over the incredible, things that Cheat Codes has done, but man, just to sum it up, like looking at your Spotify right now, man, Pretty Girls, No Promises, with all these, you have well over 1 billion streams. It looks like, is it 1 billion?
I think it's like
over 1 billion,
2.5 billion, I think.
Yeah, billions. It's crazy, man. I mean, do you ever think about how just gnarly that is?
Yeah, it blows my mind, and I'm just like, I can't really fathom it, especially just like, I don't know. It's crazy. It's like everything I wanted since I was like a little kid. You know what I mean? Like ever since I wrote like that's what you dream of, is like having a song that like that many people have heard. It's like that's all you can really ask for. So
totally. And so billions of streams. People are listening. You've worked with Demi Lovato, Trippie Redd, Black Bear, Fetty Wap, all these crazy artists. So first of all, congrats, Trevor, on the amazing success. and well done with all the great work. But now, you know, you are working on your new project, which is Dahl. It's just your last name, Trevor Dahl, but your project's called Dahl. And your new single just dropped today, Best for Me. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Yeah, so the solo stuff has been something that I've really wanted to get back to for a very long time. Like since we started Cheat Codes, we've always been like, hey, we all want to do solo stuff while we do this, but Cheat Codes got very busy and we never really did it. So it was one of those things where I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I've released a couple of different songs, and now I'm kind of into this space where I have a handful of songs all ready to go, and I'm really proud of all of them. And I'm kind of going back to my roots a little bit, where it's much more organic and singer-songwriter based and much more personal, and just tells a lot more about me, you know, as opposed to just like, you know, a dance song, you know. So it's much in a different world, and it feels really good to be able to do that again. Because I haven't done it in so long. I feel like I've had like so many things that I want to like express and talk about and sing about and write about. So
Yeah.
called Best for Me, out tonight, or last night, I guess. Did it with Sasha Sloan and King Henry, who I've been big fans of for a long time.
Yeah. I've been a fan of Sasha Sloan for a minute now too.
Yeah, they're both super talented, and yeah, I mean, I've been fans of both of theirs for like individually for a long time. I didn't realize that they're together, they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but they also like they write a lot of songs together, and they're like an amazing duo when they come together and make stuff. So being able to work with them was really cool. And yeah, so they have the songs out, and basically it's sort of about like having to, you know, get you know, let somebody go even when you love them, just because you think it's better for them, even though it's a hard thing to do. It's hard pill to swallow sometimes, but you do that when you actually love somebody. So sort of the idea behind the song.
Yeah, and it's like it's an orchestral ballad. Did you actually were you able to actually get some musicians in a room, or was that all your production skills? How did you do the track?
The acoustic guitar is
Uh-huh.
real, so I did
Uh-huh.
that. But the strings is programmed. So you
Cool.
know, you gotta finesse it, do what you can, you know.
Sounds awesome, man. Yeah, and you've been doing it since high school. It's funny hearing, you know, you were in a hardcore band, but you'd go home and you'd make kind of like these softer tunes, and it's like fast forward, it's like amplified. You got a huge group that makes bangers, but here you are, you're still on the side making these ballads.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I can't stop it. It's part of me. So it's just kind of like how I started, and like, yeah, but I love being able to do both. You know, it's like I get very bored easily, and I can't just do one thing and just like I just get tired of doing that one thing. So like I love being able to go back and forth and create different styles musically, like not only for myself, but like, you know, working with other people for their music. And yeah, but being able to do the solo stuff has been really cool, and I can't wait to get more music out, because I only have, this is my third song out now, and now I got a bunch more coming, so it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, so for those who haven't heard the new singles, "Can I Kiss You" came out, and "After Hours" came out earlier this year also. So those three tracks are out now. So what's up next? You got a upcoming EP coming out called "After Hours," right?
Well, I have a few more songs from the EP. I actually haven't decided what I'm gonna go with for the title of the EP. I'm kind of, you know, trying to figure it out.
It's
Trying to
funny
solidify
because
it.
I was yeah, by all means figure it out, but I was just about to say "After Hours" because it's one of the, it's spelt the OURS. I kind of love
Right.
that. I love that play on words a little bit. So
Hey, thank
if
you.
if you aren't going to use it, you should use it for something else, because you don't want that
It is
clever title
it
to
is a
go.
clever little twist, isn't it?
Yeah, it
You
is.
know, maybe I
Uh-huh.
should. You're probably right.
I like it. I like
Maybe
it.
this is
So
where I solidify it right here.
yeah.
This is what you convinced me.
Maybe that'd be awesome. But
Yeah.
Trevor, so you got some new tracks out. We're stoked to listen to them. Got the upcoming EP possibly titled "After Hours," and
Exactly.
man, crazy career so far. It's out, and I bet you're just getting started. So I bet a lot of people would like to know, if you had one piece of advice for aspiring artists, what would it be?
Um, One Piece. I mean, for me, a huge thing that I really think you have to really believe in yourself, like without a doubt. Like even if other people, especially if other people are telling you you can't, like you really have to like use them as fuel. Like for me, being able to like when people like when I got kicked out of my band, like I didn't let that hurt me.
Yeah.
That for me was like a really big turning point. Or when my brother wouldn't let me play in the band, like
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things for me have always been fuel. Like, all right, if you're not gonna let me, I'm going to just do it. You know what I mean? And you're going to wish that you didn't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
so not even like in a spiteful way, but like really use that as like as energy, like that really lets you like, all right, I can do this. Like, if you believe in it, you can do it. You know, so that's one thing. And I mean, that could be the only piece of advice I give, but I would really, another one would just be go for it 100%. Like I hate the idea of kind of going for it. I've always like believed in like 1,000%, like no half-assing. I don't believe in a plan B. I really, when I said, you know, if I don't do well in a couple of years, I go back to high school, or I never was going to do that. I still don't have my GED. Like I refuse to have.
You got your
of that.
PhD in the music industry though.
Exactly. You know, I've never had a regular job. I've always, since like I was really young, I said, I'm only going to make money doing music. I don't want a job. I do not want to go into an office ever, you know? So like, if you decide those things for yourself, as opposed to just want them, if you decide that's it, like that's what you really should do.
I was gonna say, if you didn't say that, I was gonna say you really seem like 100% kind of guy, you know, all in kind of person. And and because you know there a lot of people have a lot of different methods, but you are definitely a testament to, you know, going all in, because you did it and you're doing it, and by any means necessary kind of thing.